Wesley. Patrcia Webby from Liberia, West Africa. I live in Pennsylvania. I teach at Penn State, the Pennsylvania State University in Pennsylvania. I'm a professor there.
What do you teach?
I teach poetry writing. I have a PhD in creative writing, poetry, and literature, English and literature. So that's why I teach poetry writing, creative writing in general, and literature. I teach African literature, any literature they give me, because I have a doctorate in literature and writing.
How long have you been teaching for?
Now he's trying to guess my age, okay? I've been teaching for over 35 years.
You've been teaching for over 35 years?
Yes.
So now me trying to guess your age.
I started teaching in my 20s.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, all right.
So I'm 62 years old.
62 years old? You look good for 62 years old.
Well, I hope so. Ask my children.
What made you want to get into teaching? And where does your passion go right from? Where do your passion go?
Okay, I went to teaching because I wanted to write.
Really?
And I wanted to be a writer, so I went to teaching. And I went to English because I wanted to. So everything I did was because I wanted to become a writer. And because from childhood, I love language. I love to play with words. I love to make words do crazy things, whether to make people laugh or make them cry. I knew I had that capacity as a child, and I was reminded by my parents and by adults around me when they heard me talking as a child. They always stopped to listen, and it said, you know, I was interesting, even as a little child. And so I wanted to be a writer because I used to play around with words, and my father told me when I wrote my first poem, my father punished me. And no, he punished me to write it. He made me write a poem because I stole some poems from his English textbook, his English literature book that he gave me, and I copied them, plagiarized them, and I put my name on it. You know, like a child book. I was like 13, and I presented it as poems by Patrcia Webby. And when he found out they were not mine, he almost spanked me. He was a tough man, and he said, "These are stolen words. You can do better than these English poets." And so he said, "Sit in the corner there and write 2 poems, or you're not playing this whole week. You're not going to do anything else but until you write the poems." And so I sat there, and in a few minutes I wrote my first poem.
What was it about? Remember?
And a lot of times as a child I wrote about love, or I wrote about my father being a guy who disciplined us. In fact, some of the lines from one of my first poems that he was upset about, he was always in love with my poems until I wrote a poem called Discipline. And I remember only a few words of that poem because he seized it. You know, those days we didn't have the computer. Okay, I think he seized it not because, and I think he forgot to give it back to me. Okay, but it had words like and the pots and pans, the creaking chairs and famaka beds, my father sought to discipline. You know, he disciplined everything, and I was talking about how he disciplined the pots and pans and the creaking chairs and famaka beds, you know. And he didn't like it. He said, "That's what you think of me." And my stepmom said, "Well, you said she's a poet, you know, it's good for you." Yeah, so yeah, that's how I started writing.
Okay, cool. So